The first call came through while I was driving home. I almost didn't answer it. Unknown number, late evening. Nothing good usually comes from that. But I had been waiting on a call from a client earlier, so I figured it might be them using a different line. I picked up. Hello? There was a pause. Then someone said, "You just passed the gas station." I slowed the car slightly without thinking. Who is this? No answer, just a quiet breath on the line. Then the call ended. I checked my mirrors immediately. Nothing behind me except a couple cars further back. No one close enough that it felt connected. I told myself it was just a wrong number. Someone messing around, maybe guessing. Still, I didn't like how specific it was. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. Same thing. Unknown number. This time I didn't answer right away. I let it ring a few times, then picked up. Yeah? You're about to hit the light, the same voice said. I looked up. There was a traffic light ahead, turning yellow. I rolled through it just before it went red. Okay, this isn't funny, I said. Who is this? The voice didn't respond to that. Instead, it said, "You didn't stop." Then the call ended again. At that point, I was fully alert. I started checking everything. Mirrors, side streets, even the cars around me. Nothing stood out. No one following too close, no one matching my turns. But whoever was calling me knew exactly where I was, in real time. I turned onto my street a few minutes later. The phone rang again. I didn't want to answer, but I did. "You're home," the voice said. It didn't sound excited, didn't sound threatening either, just stating it. I pulled into my driveway and shut the car off. "Yeah," I said. "So what?" There was a pause. Then, "Don't go inside yet." That was the first time I felt it in my chest, that tight, uncomfortable feeling. "Why?" I asked. No answer. The line stayed open. I could still hear breathing. Slow, controlled. I looked at my house. Everything seemed normal. Lights off inside, just like I left them. No movement. No cars out of place. "I'm hanging up," I said. "You left your back door unlocked." I didn't move. Didn't even reach for the door handle. "Stop," I said. "Just check it," the voice replied. I hung up. Sat there for a second, phone still in my hand. Then I checked the backyard. From the car. Just leaning slightly to see past the side of the house. It was dark, but I could make out the outline of the back door. I couldn't tell if it was open. The phone rang again. I flinched this time before answering. "What?" "Go around the side," the voice said. "You'll see it." That's when I got out of the car. I don't know why I listened. I just did. I walked slowly along the side of the house, every step feeling louder than it should have been. When I reached the back, the door was open. Not wide, just enough. I stood there staring at it, trying to remember if I had left it like that. I didn't think I had. I was sure I hadn't. The phone was still in my hand. I hadn't even realized the call was still active. "See?" the voice said. I turned slowly, scanning the yard. "Where are you?" I asked. There was a small pause, then, "Inside." I didn't say anything after that. I just backed away from the door. Slowly at first, then faster. Then I turned and got back in my car and drove. I didn't go back that night. I called the police from down the street and told them everything. They checked the house, cleared it, said there was no one inside. No signs of forced entry either. But they did confirm one thing. The back door had been unlocked. They asked me if I knew who might have been calling, if I had any issues with anyone. I said no, because I didn't. I changed my number after that, moved a few months later too. But every now and then, I still think about it, about how they knew exactly where I was, exactly what I was doing, and how they didn't tell me not to go inside because they were worried. They told me because they were already there, waiting to see if I would. I started getting the calls a few days after I sold my old phone. Not the number, just the phone itself. I wiped it, reset it, did everything properly. Met the guy in a parking lot, handed it over, that was it. Or at least, that's what I thought. The first call came through late at night, unknown number. I answered without thinking. Hello? A few seconds passed. Then I heard it, my own voice. Hello? It was slightly distorted, like it had been recorded and played back through something cheap. I pulled the phone away from my ear for a second, then brought it back. Who is this? Nothing. Then the call ended. I stared at the screen for a while after that. It didn't make sense. I told myself it had to be a coincidence. Maybe someone recording calls randomly, maybe some kind of glitch. It didn't feel right, but I didn't have anything else to go on. The next night, it happened again. Same unknown number. This time, I didn't speak. I just answered and stayed quiet. At first, there was nothing. Then I heard breathing. Slow. Close to the microphone. Then, after a few seconds, my voice again. But not from the night before, from earlier that day. Yeah, I'll head out in a bit. That was something I had said in my apartment. To myself. No one else was there. I hung up immediately. My heart was already starting to race, but I tried to keep it together. There had to be an explanation. There had to be. I checked my apartment. Doors locked, windows closed, nothing out of place. But after that, I couldn't relax. I started noticing how quiet it was, how every small sound stood out more than it should. The third call came just after midnight. I didn't want to answer it, but I did. This time, there was no delay, no breathing, just a whisper. You left something behind. I felt that drop in my stomach. What? No response. Then, in the phone. I stood up slowly. What are you talking about? You should have checked it better. Before I could say anything else, the call ended. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about the phone, about what he said, about how he could have recorded my voice. The next day, I went back to the parking lot where I sold it. I didn't expect to find anything, but I wanted to try. There was nothing there. Of course there wasn't. That night, the call came again, earlier this time. I answered immediately. Look, I don't know what you're doing, but turn around, the voice said. I froze. I was in my living room, facing the TV. There was nothing behind me except the hallway. Stop, I said. Just turn around. I didn't want to. Everything in me was telling me not to. But I did. Slowly. At first, I didn't see anything. Then something moved. Fast. From the hallway into the kitchen, a blur of motion. I dropped the phone. By the time I grabbed it again, I could hear movement. Not from the speaker, from inside the apartment. Heavy steps. Close. I backed away toward the front door. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the keys trying to unlock it. Behind me, something slammed into the kitchen counter, hard enough that I felt it through the floor. I got the door open and stumbled outside. Didn't even close it behind me, just ran. I made it down the stairs and out into the street before I stopped. My chest felt tight. My hands were still shaking. The call was still active. I hadn't hung up. I slowly brought the phone back to my ear. Hello? There was a pause. Then my voice again. Recorded. Panicked. Hello? Who is this? I ended the call. The police came later, checked the apartment. They said there were signs someone had been inside, but no one was there when they arrived. They asked me if I still had the buyer's information. I didn't. Cash deal. No name, no number, nothing. I don't know what was on that phone. I don't know how he got into my apartment, and I don't know how long he had been there before I noticed. But I do know one thing. Every time the phone rang, he already knew where I was, and eventually, he stopped needing the phone to find me. It didn't start as anything serious. The first time the number called, I declined it without thinking. Unknown numbers come through all the time, and most of them are nothing. Then it called again the next day. Same time, same unknown ID. I declined it again. By the third day I answered, not because I wanted to, just because I was curious. Hello? Silence. No breathing, no background noise, nothing. I stayed on the line for maybe 5 seconds, then hung up. After that, it became a routine. Every day, same time, the call would come in. If I answered, there was nothing. If I declined, it would try once more, then stop. At first, it was just annoying. Then it started to feel intentional. About a week in, I decided to pick up and not say anything, just to see what would happen. The call connected. Silence again. Then, after a few seconds, I heard something faint. Not a voice, just a sound, like movement. Fabric, maybe? Or something brushing against a surface. I leaned closer to the phone, trying to catch it. That's when the line went dead. The next day, it called again. Same time. This time, I answered and immediately said, "I know you're there." Nothing. Then, very faintly, a breath. Not loud, but enough. I hung up right after that. I blocked the number that night, figured that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The next day, the call came through again. Different number, same time. I didn't answer. I just stared at the screen until it stopped ringing. It kept happening. Every day, same time, different number. After a while, I stopped picking up entirely. I let it ring out, ignored it, tried to move on. But it didn't stop. And then something changed. One evening, I got home later than usual. Work had run over, traffic was bad, everything just took longer. I walked in, dropped my keys, and sat down for a second. My phone rang. Unknown number. Same time. I didn't answer, but this time, it didn't stop. It rang longer than usual, then stopped, then rang again, immediately. I picked it up, more out of frustration than anything. "What?" I said. There was silence. Then, after a few seconds, a sound, clearer than before. A door, opening. I froze, because it wasn't coming from the phone. It was coming from my apartment. I turned slowly toward the hallway. The bedroom door was slightly open. I was sure I had left it closed. "Hello?" I said again, this time quieter, into the phone, into the room. The line stayed open, no response, but I could still hear something, faint, consistent, movement. I stood up slowly. Every step toward the hallway felt heavier than it should, like I already knew I wasn't alone. When I reached the door, I pushed it open. The room was empty, nothing out of place, closet closed, window shut. I stood there for a second, trying to calm myself down, trying to convince myself I was connecting things that weren't connected. Then the phone made a noise, a slight shift in audio, like the line had adjusted, and I heard it. My own apartment, from the phone, the same room, the same space I was standing in. but from a different angle. I turned slowly, looking around, trying to figure out where it could be coming from, where he could be. Then the line went dead. After that, the calls stopped, completely. No more unknown numbers, no more routine, nothing. I changed my number anyway, moved a few months later, did everything you're supposed to do. But every now and then I still think about it, about how long it went on, how consistent it was, and how the one time I was off schedule, the call didn't come to check where I was. It came to confirm I was already there.